Hello and welcome to the 2025 Hunger Free Communities Virtual Summit. I'm Minerva Delgado, Director of Coalitions and Advocacy at the Alliance to End Hunger. It's my honor to help plan this event every year. This annual summit is the highlight of our Hunger Free Communities initiative. As you saw in the video, through this initiative, we support partners that are committed to ending hunger across the country. The Hunger Free Communities Network includes a wide variety of stakeholders, including faith-based and secular community nonprofits, working alongside farmers, local businesses, schools, healthcare companies, and government agencies. Together, partners work to enable a holistic approach to food security that coordinates different parts of the food system to work together. At the Alliance, we bring these groups together to share promising practices and bring forth policy recommendations that will improve access to and implementation of food and nutrition programs. An important part of our Hunger Free Communities initiative includes our Advisory Council, a group of super advocates who have firsthand experience with food insecurity and federal nutrition programs. These experts provide a needed perspective and work with us to provide input on the identification of emerging community needs, as well as policy recommendations. Additionally, they help advise the Hunger Free Communities Network on promising practices in engaging community members, as well as solutions around dignified and equitable practices. And we're grateful for their support and participation in the Hunger Free Communities Network. Today's gathering brings together our vast network from state, local, and state-based to highlight what works and needed policy reforms. I'm excited to bring you all the great content that we're bringing you today. Now I'm happy to introduce Eric Mitchell, President of the Alliance to End Hunger. Prior to the Alliance, Eric served as Director of Government Relations for Adtalem Global Education, as Director of Government Relations at Bread for the World, and as Vice President of Government Relations at Russ Reed. Eric began his career on Capitol Hill and has been named a top lobbyist. He started by serving in the offices of the late Congressman John Lewis and Congressman Sanford Bishop. A native of Tampa, Florida, Eric is a graduate of Howard University in Washington, D.C., and currently resides in Maryland. Eric, over to you.
Thank you, Minerva, and good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Eric Mitchell. I'm the president of the Alliance to End Hunger, and I'm so glad that you're joining us for our 2025 Hunger Free Communities Virtual Summit. I've been calling 2025 the year of the pivot. There have been many challenges where so much has felt uncertain. National politics has kept everyone on edge, and federal policy changes have made it harder for families to access the nutrition programs that they depend on. And as we gather here today, we're finally seeing the end of the longest government shutdown in our nation's history, one that has put programs like WIC and SNAP at constant risk. Families were left wondering how they would make it from one week to the next. But through it all, our Hunger Free community partners never stopped. You've pivoted, you've adapted, you kept showing up for your communities, finding new ways to meet people's needs in the middle of all of this uncertainty. It's that spirit, the creativity, the persistence, and the collaboration that is exactly what defines this network. And this year alone, our Hunger Free community partners have grown by more than 25%. We're now over 70 coalitions strong, reaching communities across 34 states. It's that kind of growth that doesn't just happen overnight, but it does happen because people care deeply and understand that the urgency is real. Hunger is not waiting, and neither should we. That's what makes this summit so special. Every year, it's a chance for us to come together, national, state, and local leaders, to share ideas, learn from one another, and celebrate what's working. Today's session covers so many important pieces of the hunger puzzle, from access to healthy food, to building partnerships that strengthen communities, to tackling the root causes that keep people from thriving. I hope that as you leave here today, that you leave with new insights, new connections, and maybe even a little extra motivation to keep doing this critical work. Now, before we kick things off, I want to take a moment to thank the partners who have helped to make this summit possible. A huge thank you to our premier sponsor, Instacart, not just for supporting this event, but for helping to power our regional convenience across the Midwest, Mid Atlantic, South, and Southwest. We're also grateful for the support of other major sponsors Amazon, Share Our Strength, the Sodexo Stop Hunger Foundation, and DoorDash. And a special shout out goes to the more than 40 speakers and presenters who are lending their expertise today. Thank you all for helping us move this work forward. So I'm ready to dive in. But before I do, it's my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Congresswoman Shontel Brown from the Ohio 11th District. Since her election in 2021, Congresswoman Brown has become a respected and trusted voice on Capitol Hill, serving on the Agriculture Committee, where she is the vice-ranking member of the House Ag Committee. And as a member of that committee, Congresswoman Brown has been speaking up, and not only for the families who need access to critical food assistance, but also for the farmers who grow our food. Now, I know that after her remarks, you'll see exactly why I consider her one of my favorite champions on Capitol Hill. So please join me in welcoming Congresswoman Shontel Brown.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Congresswoman Shontel Brown, and I am proud to represent Ohio's 11th Congressional District in the House of Representatives. First, I want to say thank you to Eric, Minerva, and the entire Alliance to End Hunger team for having me. I am so grateful for the opportunity to participate in this summit because it brings together the people who truly get it. People who know that hunger isn't inevitable, it is a policy choice. And that ending hunger requires work at every level, in our neighborhoods, in our states, and yes, in Congress. To everyone joining from across the country, advocates, food bank leaders, farmers, health professionals, corporate partners, and faith leaders, thank you for what you do every single day. You are the hands and hearts behind one of our country's most basic promises, that no one in America should go hungry. And I want to take a moment to recognize Eric Mitchell. Eric has become an increasingly strong partner to me and so many of us in Congress. He's a relentless advocate for the policies that matter, but also a coalition builder who brings people together when Washington seems determined to rip itself apart. He's carried the spirit of his old boss, Congressman John Lewis, into this work, always reminding us that ending hunger is a political fight, but above all else, a moral calling. The Alliance is lucky to have his leadership, and all of us are better for his partnership. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about why I appreciate the work of the Alliance so much. I represent Cleveland and the surrounding communities of Northeast Ohio, a region that knows both the pain of disinvestment and the power of resilience. Ours is a city that built the American middle class and is also a place where too many families still must choose between paying the rent and putting food on the table. About 1 in 5 households in my district relies on SNAP benefits, and well over 100,000 children in my district are receiving free or reduced price lunch. These are our friends, our neighbors, the people we work with, and our very future. I know what that means personally. My family relied on SNAP when I was growing up. It was a lifeline for us. Earlier this year, during debate on the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill, I spoke publicly for the first time about that experience, about how my mom, a single mother, depended on SNAP to help put food on the table when I was experiencing epileptic petit mal seizures. SNAP didn't solve everything, but it helped us to get by. It gave us stability when life was unpredictable. It meant that on the hardest days, my mom could focus on my health instead of wondering where we have enough food to eat. That's what SNAP and our other nutrition programs mean to millions of families. It's not a handout, it's a hand up. And it's part of what allows people to work, to study, to raise kids, and to build lives of dignity and opportunity. That's why I serve on the House Agriculture Committee and why I fight every day to protect the nutrition title of the Farm Bill. I'm honored to serve as vice ranking member of that committee, and I take that role seriously because the Agriculture Committee should be a place where we honor the connection between producers and consumers, farmers and families, rural and urban communities alike. That connection is what's at stake right now. Because let's be clear about the challenges we face. 47 million Americans don't know where their next meal will come from. This is a number that is staggering and unacceptable in the wealthiest nation in the world. That is a moral failure. And solving that national disgrace will require a whole government and whole of society response. In Congress, we should be strengthening our anti-hunger programs, investing in TFAP, modernizing SNAP programs to prevent skimming and theft, streamlining enrollment for school meals and summer EBT, and increasing access to the WIC. That's why I've introduced legislation to keep EBT transactions fee-free, and why I've also been proud to champion the Healthy Food Financing Initiative, helping bring fresh, affordable food to the neighborhoods that need it most. Unfortunately, instead of strengthening the federal safety net, my Republican colleagues have ripped it up apart piece by piece. They've rammed through their one big ugly law, which cut $186 billion from SNAP, left states to foot the bill, and buried families in new red tape. We fought this bill every step of the way. Earlier this year, I introduced a bill to block their efforts to freeze and prevent updates to the Thrifty Food Plan, a move that would have slashed benefits and made it harder for millions of families to put food on the table. And we brought real stories from our constituents, to the committee dais and the House floor to show exactly what's at stake. Yet, we couldn't stop the bill from becoming law, and we've only seen the attacks widen. In addition to dismantling SNAP, they have gutted funding for key programs from the local foods program to school meals. They've pushed restrictions on food choice instead of expanding it. And intent on sticking their heads in the sand, they've axed the annual food insecurity survey that provides critical information to those of us trying to solve this problem. We've also seen dangerous moves at the international level. USAID was gutted along with many of our key global food security programs, pulling the rug out from programs and partners that save lives, prevent famine, and advance our moral leadership in the world. Walking away from that commitment doesn't make America stronger or more secure. It makes the world hungrier and less stable. So yes, this is a tough moment, but it's not a hopeless one. Because what you all prove day in and day out is that change doesn't start in Washington. It starts in communities like yours. My advice to every advocate on this call is simple. Stay loud, stay local, and stay personal. Remind lawmakers that behind every policy statistic is a real person, a parent skipping meals so their kids can eat, a senior living on a fixed income choosing between food and their medication, a veteran finding his footing again. You are the storytellers, and stories are what cut through the noise, even in a gridlock Congress. And as we look ahead to the next Farm Bill, I believe we have to rebuild the coalition that has always made progress possible, the one that connects producers and consumers, rural and urban, nutrition and production agriculture. Because we all know that for every dollar spent on SNAP, $1.40 in economic activity is generated, rippling down from the grocery store to the farm. We all know that programs like TFAP and LFP don't just benefit families, they benefit farmers. So, help us remind folks that when the coalition sticks together, progress gets made. Farmers get stability, families get food security, and our country gets stronger. But when we let those bonds fray, when one side is pitted against the other, or when nutrition is used as a bargaining chip, we all lose. I aspire to help build a more functional agriculture committee, one that unites agriculture and nutrition under a shared purpose, one where progress for producers never comes at the expense of families who rely on food assistance, and one that breaks through gridlock and reminds America that the fight against hunger is not partisan, it's personal. So, as you go back to your communities after this summit, know this: Congress needs to hear from you. We need your advocacy, your persistence, and your partnership to bring sanity and compassion back to food policy. And we need your voices, rebuilding the coalition that makes our food policy strong. Thank you again to Eric and everyone at the Alliance for convening this important conversation and for keeping the fight alive year after year. Ending hunger isn't easy work, but it is righteous work. And together, we're going to get there. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman Brown. Thank you for humanizing this SNAP experience for us. Thank you for reminding us hunger isn't inevitable. It is a policy choice, and that ending hunger is a moral calling. Finally, thank you for your leadership as Vice Ranking Member on the House Committee on Agriculture. And we will take you up on your charge to stay loud, stay local, and stay personal. Thank you.